The Gig Essentials podcast is being brought to you by you. Aw, thanks, guys.
What's up, guys? This is Corey, also known as QC Rideshare, just hitting you with another one. And so today is this episode two of version two of the two-part podcast on Takl. And so if you haven't heard the first one that came out yesterday, definitely encourage you to go listen to that one first, then come back and listen to this one. But I just want to continue on Takl because I think the misconception is that, and people may have this, is that I'm completely negative about Takl. Actually, I'm very positive about what they necessarily bring to the market. Um, my concern or um, my concern or my issue that I have is often the way that they um, handle their business, and I don't think that there's an issue with there's a downside to taking issue with the way someone does their business. Um, so let's really quickly go about some positives. So I think what Takl does in making it easy for a customer to book jobs by people who want to do various tasks is exceptional. I think that the way that they have the app set up also very good. It's very simplistic. You bid against people in your city. It encourages you to be creative with your pricing because you may say, you know what, normally I charge $100 for this, but I'm willing to take 90. Let's just get the job done. So I think that that is something that is encouraging. I think other platforms will benefit from it. Um, but at the same notion with saying that, I think the way that they go about their issue, I mean, their quote unquote customer service um, or guarantee that they offer their customers, I think is flawed. So one thing that Takl talks about is that they have this guarantee, satisfaction guarantee. So um, if you don't like what you're doing, then they will essentially reimburse you for the job. Well, it's one thing if they're putting that on themselves and saying, "Look, we're going to reimburse you," but what they're doing is they're essentially just back charging the technician, and not only the amount that for the job, but also their additional fee that they charge the customer. So Takl's maintaining their same money. So it doesn't hurt Takl to keep sending out people who don't know what they're doing. Also, a lot of the people to onboard different jobs aren't professionals in that field. So I used to see jobs on there for electrical work and putting in outlets and things like that. Now I was trained. I went to school for electrical, industrial, and electricity, so I know how to do electrical work. But nowhere in that onboarding process did they ask me about providing a license or certification showing that I actually knew what I was doing. So Joe Schmo could just say, "Yeah, I want to do some electrical work because they pay good, and so I'm going to go ahead and do them." I don't think that that's a good process. So for the customer, you're inviting somebody in your house who you're assuming is a professional, but they don't have that skill set. They don't have the paperwork devising the skill set. Also, there is no checks and balances. So if I'm doing a job and the customer says, and I've spoken about this before, some jobs like an outside job where you mow someone's lawn or whatever, the customer is told that they don't need to be home. Well, if I go to that job and perform that service and the customer is not home, and then they come home and they say they have any issue with the job, Takl just turns around and reimburses them the full amount. I get back charged and kicked off the platform. That's not how that should work, because what happened, and I know especially in a number of markets, people started realizing that if you complained, that you got your money back, and for the customer, it wasn't an issue. So there was a number of markets where, and I've heard this from a number of commenters, where essentially people would sign up for services to get them done, get it done. Then they would say that they didn't like the quality or the level of work that was done. Takl would reimburse them, and then they would just, essentially get the job done for free. Which happens. You have to understand that for every system, there's going to be people looking to abuse it, and without any proper vetting of an actual complaint, and with the hyper growth that you're trying to do as a startup, you really need to make sure that, you know what, you have preferred technicians. So you could actually just say, we want to send one of our guys out there to take a look at it, or to clean it up, whatever the case may be, so that you're not just reimbursing the customer and you're showing a level of quality. So that's another thing that I had a concern about. Getting in contact with Takl on the surface is easy and clean and smooth. Oftentimes it's jumbled and doesn't work. It doesn't work as good as it could. And also canceling jobs. One thing that I had commenter mention is he had a family emergency, and he contacted Takl to let them know about the family emergency, and he couldn't do the task that he was assigned, and Takl deactivated him. Now, obviously, I don't know the ins and outs of the situation, but if any part of that is somewhat true, that's just alarming, because when you're doing these jobs, obviously you want to do them, but if something comes up, I'm pretty sure family emergency is going to take precedent over any job that you would do for somebody else in their home. And so it seems like Takl, when they actually started at a time when Uber and Lyft and a lot of the ride sharing platforms had these horrific reputations. And what happened is, instead of they wanted to zig when those companies were zagging. So they wanted to be the opposite. They wanted to show, no, we're not like these companies. Well, the problem is, generally people who participate in the gig economy, they will seek other gig type work. So essentially what you did is, you're trying to be different from Uber and Lyft, but you're essentially recruiting and targeting those same people to run your platform. And they came out with policies or procedures that were so over the top different, over the top, that it hampers pure logic. So there's things that Uber and Lyft do that I don't like, but it's because of the scale of numbers. They have so many customers, they have to kind of work within those parameters. But Takl, they want it to be the everything to everyone. So they thought that they honestly, I think they believe that they can operate a business in which no one is dissatisfied with their service. Well, I don't know a company that exists where no one's dissatisfied with their company. Even a company like Amazon, as much as people love Amazon, you Google Amazon complaint and you'll find tons of people who have issues with Amazon. It's just you're never going to have a business in which everyone's happy. The reality is, you need to figure out how you can operate in which the majority of people are happy. And I think with Takl, they are not at a scale in which they can do that. One thing that I think hampers Takl is not a startup in a traditional sense of having angel investors and A, B, and C round investments. They don't have that. Takl has a single owner who is a very rich man who started this company and is self-financing. So sometimes self-financing, and you start to operate based off the vision of what you individually want, not so much what the market wants. And I think that's also a negative to the company. So all in all, if I were to do it again, would I go back on a Takl go on Takl platform. I would say if Takl was operating the way that they are today, no, it would be something where I will look at some of the fees they want me to pay and things like that, and I would say no. When I got recruited in this market, there were no fees. There were no, things like that, and they were starting new. So if it was back when I started, yes, I'll probably jump right back on it. But if it's the way they operate now, no. Knowing what I know now, tax issues that I mentioned in the first podcast, or um, some of the dishonesty behind how they work with people, I got to be honest with you, I probably wouldn't. Um, I've gotten to the point in my life where I realized that you have a certain amount of time in your day, and it's not worth your time to invest in platforms that don't meet your standard or meet the smell test. It's because you can you can think that those things are going to turn around, but the reality is it's easier to change a culture when a company starts than when a company's established. Takl's culture has went from, I would say, almost normal to strange. So you see there's a shift, but it's not shifting in the right direction. Where if they become a bigger company, I don't think that that's going to change. One thing I always look at is I look at every once in a while I'll go onto their app and look at the reviews that they get as a company. And I always laugh because um, one of the things they used to do is when you go into chats with them and contact them through the app, all their people had these weird, almost like emoji style icons for who they are. And when you go into the reviews and you'll see, and this was a while ago since I did that, the people who had gave them 5 stars and will write these glaring reviews all had these same style emoji style um, style um, um, icons for their name, and so it made me realize that, oh, okay, they're just commenting on their own app to get the rankings up. But um, one thing I always say, you'll know about how good a platform is if you look at the 5 star reviews and look at the 1 star reviews. Usually the 2 through 4, if you see an app where, let's say they have 10,000 reviews and they have 4,000 5 stars, 500, if they have it 4,000 5 stars, 500 4 stars, 500, 1,000 3 stars and 500 2 stars, and 4,000 1 stars. So you get that weird kind of C shape about the app. You pretty much know that that's a bad app or something's not right about that company. And so that's something even to look at. Look at things like that. Look at the comments on some of these companies. Also, look at other businesses in their same category. So, like a competitor. So, when you look at the Takl app, normally it'll say suggested apps. Also, you know, usually you'll see how they operate, and if they operate 180 degrees different than how that company operates, something's probably up. So that's kind of my thoughts on Takl. I will say that based on the feedback that I get from you guys, I wouldn't be opposed to kind of coming back and talking about it from time to time. So I'll let you guys be a determining factor on that. Um, I just didn't want, at the time that I made the statement that I wasn't going to comment on them anymore, I just didn't want it to seem like the only, I just was talking about a platform that I wasn't going to be working with just to bash that platform, because I know that for some that platform may be great, for others it may be awful. But just the number of people who reached out to me and just told me their stories, um, and expressed to me their frustration or the issues that they had, I felt it necessary to really just kind of give credence, or I don't know if that's where give credence to what they were saying and let them know that I definitely hear them and they're not alone in it. So um, I'm putting this out on podcast. I'll probably put it out on as like a video podcast on my YouTube channel in the coming weeks. But thank you for listening to the podcast. I know this one went a little bit long, but I wanted to kind of get a good bow into this topic. And until the next one, peace.